And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Justin Poole. I'm a theater professor at Eastern Mennonite University, and I'm also a yoga instructor, certified yoga instructor. And I'm the artist in residence for Asbury United Methodist Church. And so that's, we're doing this through Asbury tonight. I would like to start off with a brief centering quote or idea to kind of help us to focus our practice. And in the midst of this pandemic, I have 3 young children, all under the ages of 8, and they have constantly been asking me, oh, so why does God allow this pandemic to happen? Why does He let the stupid virus happen? And quite often, I can't quite find the right words to describe, why. And I think that we're all at a loss as to why this is happening to us. And that really, it puts you in a humble place to have to admit to your children that you don't really have the answer for the suffering that's going on in the world right now. I subscribe to Richard Rohr's daily meditations. Richard Rohr is a Franciscan friar and has written a lot about the idea of suffering and humbling yourself in terms of life's big questions. And he wrote something recently that I want to just quote for you. Every parable or spiritual riddle, every one of Jesus's confounding questions is intended to bring up the limitations of our own wisdom, power, or tiny self. If we have not yet touched upon our essence, we will continue to build up ego structures in defense of our momentary form. Most Westerners no longer tolerate it when our small selves are ignored, subverted, or humiliated. We appear to be lost in a whirlwind of images, all passing and changing week by week. With all of us globally experiencing our common vulnerability to this virus, we can learn the lesson that we are one in our humanity. No one is more important than anyone else. Powerlessness is the beginning of wisdom, as the 12-steppers say. All we can finally do is pray that we allow the flow of the Spirit's very presence within us. If there is no living water flowing through us, then we must pray for the desire for it to flow. Once the desire for something more is stirred and recognized, it is just a matter of time. Nothing less will ever totally satisfy us again. So as we go through practice today, we're going to be doing some more strengthening poses, some balancing poses, some that might be a little bit more challenging. Allow yourself to be humbled by some of these poses. Know that you're not always going to reach a desired outcome. You're not always going to have the answers, but allow God's grace to fill you. Give yourself an abundance of grace through this, and see if you can invite God to be with you through the midst of this practice and throughout the coming week. And if you're just joining us, it's wonderful to see you. If you could turn off your volume and the camera, and then we'll check back in at the end of this session today. All right, I'm going to ask you if you have a mat, if you can go ahead and stand on your mat, probably towards the front, and put your feet about 2 fists apart, and then bring your shoulders back and down, plug them down, and then bring your palms out towards the front of the room. And pretend there's a puppeteer in the sky and you're a marionette, and the puppeteer in the sky is going to lift a string up at the top of your skull, and so you're going to feel yourself lengthening through your spine. And go a little bit forward onto your toes, to your edge, till you about fall over. Find where that edge is. And then go back a little bit towards your heels and find where that edge is.
That's not nice.
Move to your left.
The devil.
And move to your right. Stabilize yourself in the very middle here in your mountain pose. And breathe. And again, if you've just joined us, if you can turn off your volume, if you can turn off your your speaker or your microphone, so that it doesn't keep on switching back and forth. Do you know how to do that? Thank you. Awesome, great, great. Can you turn off the video, your video too? And great. And then we'll check back in.
My mom.
It's totally cool. It's totally fine. Thank you. And continue to breathe here. Breathe deeply. Send your breath deep. Maybe inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. Reach your arms up. Clasp your hands together above your head. Bring your weight into the right foot. And move your hands over to the right side and your hip over to the left side. Come out of that. Move over to the opposite side. Move your weight into your left foot. Bring your right hip over to the right. And then stretch up tall. And bring your shoulders down a little bit, but stretch your hands up high and arch your back and look up towards the ceiling. Come out of that. You're going to come down into a tabletop position right here. So the tops of your feet are pushed into the ground, tops of your shin and your palms are pushed into the ground. And you're going to take yourself through a few cat and cows. So cat pose, you're like a Halloween kitty. You're going to push the ground away with your hands and you're going to arch your back up. And then a cow, you're going to arch your back in the opposite direction so your back becomes like a hammock. And you're going to bring your gaze up towards the ceiling. Go back into cat. And then back into cow. And take yourself through a few cat and cows, and you're going to do it on your own breath. So maybe push the ground away with your exhalation. And then with your inhalation, go into a cow. Maybe do a few more of those, maybe one or two more. Then you're going to do what I call scraping the barrel, where you're going to kind of, you're going to pretend that you're on the inside of the barrel here, and you're going to scrape the bottom of the barrel with your belly. You're going to scrape the right-hand side of the barrel with the right side of your torso. Scrape the top of the barrel with your spine. Scrape the left side of the barrel with your left torso. And you're going to kind of move your hips around, scraping the inside of that barrel with your torso, with your spine, with your belly. Don't forget to breathe. It's very important in yoga to connect your movements with your breath. Yeah, my wife refers to this one as sassy cat. And maybe go in the opposite direction here, scraping the barrel on the inside. Feel a little snap, crackle, pop going on in your joints. That's fine. And then you're going to come back into a solid tabletop pose. And you're going to reach your right fingertips forward. And you're going to reach your left foot back. So push into an imaginary wall with the back of your foot. With your back foot. And then lift your heel higher. And then lift your fingertips and your arm higher. This is a good strength pose right here. So you're balancing on your left hand, top of your right shin, and the top of your right foot. Bring your right knee in to your left or your left knee rather, into your right elbow, and then stretch back out again. So it's like you're sending energy from your core out through your fingertips and out through your back foot. Bring your knee to your elbow again. Stretch it out. And one more time, knee to elbow, stretch out. And then if you want, you can reach back, grab the outside of your back foot, and then open up your chest to the right side and gaze goes up. Come back out of that, take yourself through a few cats and cows, maybe scrape the barrel. Just kind of get the blood flowing through your spine. Now you're going to come and you're going to do it on the opposite side. So you're going to bring your left fingertips forward and your right foot back. Push into that imaginary wall with your right foot. Stretch out with your left fingertips. Engage your core here. Bring your right knee to your left elbow. Send it back out. Shoot the energy out from your core, out through your fingertips, and then out through your back, the back of your foot. Come back in. Back out again. Back in again. Out. Reach back if you want. Grab the outside of that foot and open up to the left side of the room. And come out of that pose. Come back into cat and cow. Maybe scrape the barrel. Marry the movement to the breath. From here, we're going to come into a high plank pose. We're not going to hold it very long. You're just going to hold it for about 2 or 3 breaths. And you're going to lower down on 3, 2, 1, all the way to the ground. Now, if plank is really comfortable for you, you can keep on coming back into this pose as we flow through. If not, you can modify it. The general rule of yoga is if it feels good in your body, keep doing it. If it doesn't, back off or modify. Now you're going to bring your palms back. So your palms are on the ground, your arms are on the ground, and the tops of your feet are plugged into the ground. Bring your chin into the ground, and you're going to gradually lift your chest, lift your hands, and lift your feet off the ground into a locust pose. So your belly and your pelvis are plugged into the ground. Everything else is peeled off. Gaze goes up. This is really good for your posture, good for back strength. Hold it for one more deep breath. And gradually come out of it. Rest on one cheek or the other. Come back up into a locust pose again. Send your fingertips forward like you're Superman, or Supergirl, or Superwoman. And you'll reach through those fingertips and shoot the energy out through the fingertips and out through the feet, just like we just did. And you can kind of swim a little bit here. Bring one side up and the other side down, one side up, the other side down. If that's too intense, you can back off. If you want to push it a little bit more, take another breath. And come back down, rest on another cheek, the right cheek or the left cheek, whichever. One more variation on that pose. We're going to come back up into locust. You're going to reach your hands forward. And you're going to reach your hands all the way back. You're going to grab your ankles with your hands and you're going to come up into a bow. And come back down, rest on one side of the face or the other, and just breathe here. Bring your hands about to your chest and push the ground away and come back into a child's pose. So your fingertips go forward and your butt goes back. Knees are bent. Tops of your feet and your shins are pressed into the ground. Hands are pressed into the ground. You can bring your forehead down towards the ground. You can work your fingertips a little bit forward and try to create length in your spine. Try to send your breath deep. Bring your fingertips over to the left side and resist the urge to bring your right hip up. So bring your right hip down towards the ground as your fingertips are going to the left and feel a nice long stretch through the right side of your torso. Breathe. Send your fingertips over to the opposite side, to the right side, and then make sure your left hip is down towards the ground here. Feel a stretch through the left side of your torso and breathe. Send your fingertips forward again, traditional child's pose. Breathe here once or twice, deep, long breaths. And then you're going to come forward and you can bring your chest and your chin down if you want to. And then you're going to come up into a cobra pose. Push the ground away with your palms. Bring your shoulders back and down. Pelvis is in the ground, tops of your feet. Legs are in the ground. Gaze is up. And from cobra, you're then going to come into a downward dog. So if your back is really rounded, like mine probably is right now, you can think about moving your hands a little bit further apart. You can think about bending your knees and scooting your butt up and back and lengthening through your spine a little bit more. And then you can think about bringing your heels down into the ground. Still breathing deeply here in downward facing dog. Now again, you can bring your knees into the ground. You can bring your chest down into the ground and your chin into the ground, and then you can come back up into a cobra. That's one way to do the flow, because we're going to be doing some flowing stuff soon. Another way to do the flow is to come back into downward facing dog and come forward into a high plank. Notice how my feet stay where they are, my hands stay where they are in downward dog and also in high plank. And then you can lower down and then come up into a cobra. Whatever feels comfortable for you for the flow, that's what we'll do. So now we're going to start to do a flowing sequence. So I'm going to reorient myself towards you here. You're going to come into a downward facing dog. Bend your knees and you can jump forward and sit into a chair pose. So your knees are not going past your toes. You're sitting into an imaginary chair and you're bringing your arms all the way up, shooting the energy up through your fingertips. Feel a burn right in here. Breathe deeply. One more breath. And come out of that. Move your feet so they're about 2 fists apart. Arms go all the way up. Swan dive down. Put your hands down to the ground. Bring your feet back. High plank, lower down, or you can do knees, chest, and chin. Up dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. Bend your knees again. You can step or you can jump forward. Sit back down in to that chair. Bring your hands to heart center and chair and twist over to the left side. Try to keep your hands, prayer pose, heart center. Bring your hands back up, sit down in that chair again. Put your hands again in prayer pose and twist to the other side. Hands back up, and this is where giving yourself grace is great. Come back up, step your feet a little bit apart. Bring your hands up, stretch up, back bend like we did at the beginning. And swan dive down, step or jump back, high plank, lower down. Cobra, downward dog. Downward dog here, you can bicycle your legs back and forth a little bit, maybe bend your left knee. Feel a stretch through the right side of your body. Maybe bend your right knee, feel a stretch through the left side of your torso. Go back and forth a little bit. Stay in downward dog. Maybe bring your heels down into the ground a little more, or you can bend your knees and stick your butt up and back if you want more length in your spine, which is more beneficial. From here, you're going to step your left foot forward in between your hands. You're going to bring your right shin down into the ground, the top of your right foot into the ground, and lift up your arms and gaze to the ceiling. Low lunge. Bring your hands back down to where they were. Step your back foot to meet your front. Halfway lift, so your back is parallel with the ground. Forward fold. All the way up. Come back down. Step or jump back. High plank. Lower down. Cobra. Downward dog. Step your opposite foot forward now. Your right foot goes forward. Left foot goes down. Arms go up. Hands to the ground. Bring your back foot to meet your front. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Come all the way back up again. All the way back down. Lower down. Cobra. Downward facing dog. Bring your left foot up. Three-legged dog with your left foot up off the ground. And bring your left knee to the outside of your left elbow and hover here. Bring it back up. Bring your left knee to your right elbow over here. Bring it back up in the three-legged dog. And then send that left foot forward in between your front hands. And then come on up into a high lunge. Make sure your shoulders are down, not up towards your ears, but down lower. If you want more of an intense stretch, you can work your toes a little forward. Just make sure that your knee's not going past your toes. If you want more of a challenge, you can bring your hands to prayer pose right here, in the midpoint of your chest, and you can twist to the left. If you want more of a challenge, you can open up your arms. If that's enough for you, that's fine. More challenge would be bring your gaze up towards your fingertips. Hold this pose, whatever pose you're in, for one more breath. Bring your hands back down. Step your foot back. High plank, lower down. Cobra, downward dog. Bring your other foot up, three-legged dog, with your right foot in the air. Bring your right knee to your right elbow, the outside of your right elbow. Let it hover. Bring it back up. And bring your right knee to the outside of your left elbow. Let it hover. Bring it back up. And then bring your right foot in between your hands. Come on up into a high lunge with your right foot forward. Arms go up high towards the sky. Gaze goes up. You can hang out here for a while. You can back off if it's too intense by bringing your feet a little closer together. If you want more intensity, bring your feet a little further apart to the front and back. If you want more intensity, you can bring your hands to your heart center and twist. You can open up your arms and bring your gaze up. Hold whatever pose you're in for another breath. Bring your hands back down. Step that foot back. High plank, lower down. Cobra. Downward dog. Bring your left foot up. Three-legged dog. Bend your left knee. Open up your hips to the left side of the room. Bring your left toes to your left wrist. Bring your back foot so it's at a 45-degree angle with the back of the mat. Bring your fingertips up, gaze up to the sky, back bend here. Warrior one. Again, give yourself grace in these poses. If you need to back off, it's totally fine. You're going to now open up into warrior two, so the back part of the outer part of your back foot is parallel with the back of the mat. And you're opening yourself up to the right side of the room, and gaze goes forward towards your forward-facing fingertips. Front palm goes up a little bit, hinge forward just an inch or so, and then reverse your warrior, feeling a stretch through the left side of your torso, still bending that front knee and looking up. Coming to an extended side angle by bringing your forearm down onto the top of your upper left leg, and then bring your right arm so that it's on a diagonal with the outside of your back foot. So you're taking the energy out of the floor, sucking it up the right side of your body, shooting it out through your fingertips. These metaphors, these visual metaphors are sometimes helpful. Gaze goes up towards your fingertips, extended side angle pose. Come back into warrior two. Breathe deeply here, one more breath. Cartwheel your hands down. Bring your left foot so that it's just a few inches outside of the left part of your mat. Lizard pose, you can push the ground away now with your hands in this pose, feeling stretched through here. Or you can bring your forearms down towards the ground for an even more intense stretch. Come back up into your palms, and then you're going to push the ground away with the ball of your right foot, and you're going to bring that left foot back up. Circle your leg around a little bit. If you really want to go crazy, you can flip the dog like this and say hi to the computer. Or if that's enough for you, just flow through, just flow through. Cobra, downward dog. You're going to do the opposite side now, so lift that right leg up and back in a three-legged dog. Bend that right knee, open up your hips to the right side of the room. Send your right toes to your right wrist. Back foot is at a 45-degree angle with the back of the mat. Shoot those fingertips up. Back bend here, look up to the sky. Warrior one. Move your back foot so that the outside of your back foot is parallel with the back of your mat. Open up into a warrior two. Shoot the energy out through your back fingertips, through your front fingertips here, and bend more deeply into that front knee. Make sure your front knee is not going past your front toes. Give yourself grace here. If you need to back off, that's totally fine. If it feels good, lean into it more. If it doesn't, back off, adjust. Front palm goes up towards the sky, hinge forward about an inch, and then reverse your warrior by bringing your right arm up and back. Fingertips pointing towards the back of the room, gaze up. Still bend through that front knee. Extended side angle, bring your right forearm down to the top of your upper right leg. And then left arm making a diagonal line with the outside of your back foot. Gaze up towards your fingertips. Stretch through the left side of your torso. Back up into warrior two. Hold this for 2 long breaths. And cartwheel your hands down. Bring your left shin down into the ground, top of your left foot into the ground. Bring your right foot a few inches outside of the outside of your mat. And push the ground away in your lizard pose here. And if you want a deeper lizard pose, you can come down into your forearms and feel a stretch through the inner part of your upper right leg. Bring your hands back into the mat, ball of your left foot into the ground, and then move your right leg up and circle it around a little bit. You can flow through as normal, or you can flip the dog if that's comfortable and say hi to the computer. When you flow through, meet me at downward facing dog. And we're going to do the pigeon pose. So you're going to raise up your left leg, bend your left knee, and then bring your left knee to your left wrist. So your lower leg is at an angle going this way, and your back leg is pointing straight behind you. And you can work your way down onto your forearms if you wish. Now, if this does not feel good in your knee, totally back off. You can modify this by just doing a child's pose, that's fine too. Or make any kind of subtle modifications. One hazard of doing this over Zoom is that we can't be in the same room to kind of work with each other and adjust together. If you want a deeper stretch, you can move your fingertips forward and then move your head down towards the ground. So you should really feel the stretch in the upper left leg, left part of your butt. Really breathe deeply here. Gradually come out of that, push the ground away, bring the ball of your right foot into the ground, and then stretch up that left leg and circle it around a little bit, get the blood flowing. And you can flip that dog one more time or just flow through. Meet me in downward dog. Three-legged dog on the opposite side. Bring your right leg up. Bend your right knee, open up your hips to the right side of the room. Bring your right knee to your right wrist. Bring your back foot back a little bit more and come on down into a pigeon on the opposite side. Breathe deeply. Gradually come out of that pose by working your hands up, push the ground away, bring the ball of your left foot into the ground, kick that right leg up, circle it around, flip the dog if you will, or just flow through one last time. Meet me in downward dog. Now you're going to jump through and you're going to come onto your sacrum here. You're going to put your feet into the ground. You're going to bring your shoulders back and down and your chest up. And you're going to gradually move your feet up into a boat. We're just going to do 2 of these because this is a little intense. So you're going to feel strengthening through your core here. And you're going to lower down on 3. But you're not going to go all the way to the ground. You're going to hover about an inch off the ground. So ready? 3, 2, 1. Come back up. Hold this. Breathe deeply. And now you're going to go all the way down on 4. 4, 3, 2, 1. And just relax down here on the ground for a little bit. Feel any sensations in your body. Maybe your heart's pumping a little bit more. Maybe you're sweating a little bit, breathing a little deeper. From here, we're going to do a counter pose. So what you're going to do is you're going to stay on the ground and bring your feet into the ground and your knees bend. And then you're going to gradually push the ground away with your feet, keeping the weight in your feet and in the upper part of your back. Your neck is just kind of hanging out there, so don't tilt your neck to the right or the left. Don't look to the right or left, just look straight up. And you can work your shoulder blades down behind you and work your hands behind you and your arms behind you so that you clasp your hands beneath your sacrum here on ground level and lift your pelvis up, bridge pose. Breathe deeply here for one more breath. And gradually come out of that pose and bring your knees to your chest. And then you can move your legs around a little bit, one way or the other, whatever feels comfortable for you. Maybe move side to side in your spine a little bit here. And if you can all go into a happy baby pose, now I have 3 little kids, so I saw them do this multiple times when they were babies. It is true, it's a happy baby pose. You're gonna grab the outside of your right foot and the outside of your left foot. You're gonna bring your feet so they're up towards the ceiling, and you're just gonna sway back and forth a little bit in this happy baby pose. Again, give yourself grace here. If any of these are challenging, just find some alternative to it. It's more comfortable in your body. It's not about the outcome. As one of my favorite yoga teachers always says, it's not about the outcome. Bring your feet back down into the ground. You can do another bridge if you want, or you can just kind of hang out here for a little bit. One thing you can do if you're hanging out here is you can do windshield wipers by bringing your knees to the right, knees to the left, going back and forth a little bit. You can do like little pelvic tilts where you kind of roll around down your pelvic area here. Or if you want to go crazy, you can do something a little bit more intense. You can bring your hands to your ears, point your fingertips towards your toes, and gradually maybe work your feet up towards your butt a little bit and push the ground away into a wheel pose. So bridge or wheel or windshield wipers, whatever you're doing, do it for about 2 or 3 more breaths. Deep breaths. And gradually come out of whatever pose you're in. Bring your knees back to your chest. Bring your knees to the left side of the room and your fingertips and your arms to the right side of the room and your gaze to the right side. So spinal twist. Bring your knees over to the opposite side, your gaze and your fingertips over to the left side. Spinal twist here. Lay back down on the ground. Breathe deeply here. Relax for just a moment or 2. We're going to stretch your body nice and long across the floor. Stretch through the right fingertips and the right foot. And release those and stretch through the left fingertips and the left foot. And release those. Stretch through the right side again. And the left side again. Stretch through your fingertips and your feet. Stretching out from your core, out through your fingertips and out through both feet. And relax into the ground. If there's any last pose you want to do here, Feel free to do it in this time, in the next minute, and then make your way into Shavasana or corpse pose. And that's where you're just lying on your mat, breathing deeply. Your eyes closed. I like to pretend I'm on a warm sandy beach, and each time I exhale my breath, I send one new muscle group into the ground. So I sink a little bit into the sand with each exhalation of breath. And as you're breathing, lying down in Shavasana, try to clear your mind, the stresses around you. And this is a time in Shavasana when personally I like to try to live in a prayerful state. And prayer is not always just about rattling off words, a list of requests to God, but sometimes it can also be about listening. So as you breathe, is the Holy Spirit nudging you in one way or another? Is someone coming to mind that you need to reach out to? Just listen. Gradually come onto your side. Make your way to a comfortable seated position. Thank you for joining me today for this yoga session.